Yeah, because when we got married, we moved into the same apartment that she was in.
On
But you had just moved out. You were
Yes.
already
I
at
remember
Subtex.
that.
Yes, yes.
Because you must have moved in there in the spring.
I was still
and we
mad
moved there.
because nobody asked me to be a bridesmaid in your weddings. Neither one of
Well,
you.
you know, at the time, there again, Mother didn't want us to make you spend any money.
I said I was
I had all girlfriends.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's-
no.
And when she was married, Mother dictated exactly who had to be bridesmaids.
Mhm.
She had no choice in anything. That's what happens when you're 17.
See, and I didn't. I had whoever I wanted.
Oh, I
You were
had,
the youngest.
I was spoiled rotten. I did, and I had a very pretty wedding.
She did.
I
It
had
was
a rainbow
beautiful.
wedding.
She did. Every bridesmaid had a beautiful pastel color.
Yeah, yellow, green, blue, pink.
It was. I remember Father Jerry married you. I
Yes, he
believe.
did, because Father Sledge was going to, and I asked for Father Jerry, and he
Yeah.
says, I can't. He says he's going to be doing it. I was so disappointed, and then there was a funeral. And
Okay.
Father Sledge had to do the funeral, so Father Jerry got to marry us.
And I'll
That
never
was just
forget
really
his
cool.
words about your wedding. He says, it was so pleasant because everybody walked in with a different color, and he says it was just like a rainbow.
And it was.
Yeah,
it was.
I remember him making that. I mean, he didn't have very nice, not a lot of nice comments to
No.
make, but that was a very. I remember
I
him
just don't
saying that.
remember.
I had a pretty wedding.
Yeah, it was a beautiful.
They
wedding.
carried wicker
Well,
baskets with flowers.
I think I was in your wedding.
Mm-mm.
No,
Well, you
she-
just had Patty
Yeah, okay.
in April, and I
Yeah.
got married in
Yeah,
June.
I was not in.
Susie Novak was my Zelnick, one of the Zelnick girls. Susie was my maid of honor, and then I had Shirley and Marion, of course, and
Yeah.
Lenny's sister Kathy had to get them in there.
Yeah.
And
I don't remember your wedding at all.
Well, you remember the color. Well, from pictures, you would remember
Yeah,
her
no,
color.
yeah.
Yeah.
they were short dresses. They weren't long. We didn't have.
And they had to dye all those shoes to match their dresses, you know.
I remember a little bit you guys being in the backyard at Mom's house.
We did. We came back out because at that time you had to get married at 10 o'clock in the morning.
I think ours was 9.
It. You had the whole day to kill, so we set up the phonograph in the
Yeah.
yard, and all the guys were dressed in white tuxes, and their boutonnieres matched their girls because none of them knew each other. So I figured if I made the boutonnieres, they would remember who they were standing up with.
Yeah.
But they had the big wide brim hats. They were like plantation ladies. They looked like.
Yeah, they were
pretty
fun,
dressed
yeah.
up,
Who did I have in my wedding? I had Patty Zelenak.
Boyle. What is her name? Jan Boyle?
No, Jan Curtis.
Oh, Jan
From
Curtis.
work-
Okay.
From work. And Patty Zelenak.
Was I in your wedding?
And you
I must
were.
have been in your wedding.
Those, I just had
And
to
Lynn
be-
was Flower Girl.
And Lynn was, see, that's why I thought, well, Lynn was in your place.
I know, Lynn was Flower Girl.
Yeah, Lynn was in, yeah, she was the flower girl. She took your place, Marlene,
Yes.
because it would have cost you too much money to have everybody.
I know. That's what Mama
And
said.
see, I wasn't in Barbara's either. So,
And I
yeah.
said, well, I'm having Joyce Green, because I went from junior high to high school with Joyce, right on with Joyce. I said, Joyce going to be my bridesmaid. I even wrote it in her yearbook, our yearbook. Don't forget it, she's going to be my bridesmaid. Mother. She wasn't.
Wasn't she?
No. Nope, I had to have Shirley Anderson, who, hello.
It was a girl, it was a
Gloria
daughter of one of
Chopin,
these.
hello.
These
Poker
were all
ladies.
the poker ladies, their daughters.
Who I didn't know from Adam.
Yeah? Oh, we knew
The
of
only
them,
one
but-
I had was Molly and you and Patty Trombley.
Boy, you had
You had a big wedding.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
And our mothers, our parents made all those
food.
turkeys.
They got married at 9 in the morning, went home and cooked turkeys all day long,
My
so they
mother
could bring them
peeled
to the hall
She was
for
still
the
peeling
reception.
potatoes at the reception time.
That was on 23rd and Washington North. Did
Best
you-
hall, best hall in the world.
Did you
But you
know that-
probably had it too at 23rd.
Oh,
I
I
had
did.
Blindman's
You
Hall.
did
No, I didn't.
We had Blindman's
Oh,
Hall.
No,
you
we
had,
had the
oh,
blind-
okay.
There weren't many halls to have at that time, but the
Yeah.
23rd in Washington
Still there.
was the greatest.
Still
All
there.
those wooden seats around that whole thing, and that big,
And if
big
you got drunk,
dance.
you fell down 3 flights of stairs. At least you fell
Mother
down
tried to
first.
slide down the railing that went down the middle
Our
of the
mother
2 stairs.
loved, I'll tell you, our
Drunk as a
mother
skunk.
loved to drink. I'll tell you that. And when she was drunk,
She tried to
She
go down
was-
that railing.
she was mean. She was a mean drunk.
Yeah,
girl.
she was.
She was not.
That's when Dad tried to catch her, and that's when he ruined his knee, because
Oh.
he just buckled the wrong way.
Yeah, no,
Oh.
we had some trying times with our mother and her drinking. She
Bless her
didn't do
heart,
it.
I loved her dearly. But
She didn't do it often, but when she did,
Oh,
just
she
would-
was
she was just
nasty.
very,
right up
very-
until she didn't drink anymore at
Yeah.
about 80.
Yeah. Really?
Really?
Seriously.
Seriously, yeah.
She just did
The
not know
last
how
one
to.
was at Easter at my house,
Yes.
then,
That was bad.
right over
Yeah.
That
here.
was bad.
I know, it was very, she just did not know how to handle her liquor at
No.
all. And like I say, she didn't do it often, but when she did, she didn't do it well.
That's why
No.
they don't remember it as much as I did, because it was tough growing up at times.
Oh,
Very
I remember
tough.
getting up for church on Sunday morning and going down to the only bathroom that we had, and oh, what it smelled like.
Yeah.
But
His
she
mother was
got,
leaning
she
over the
got
potty
sick,
all
and then
night.
they would come home and
And
they would
those-
fight,
Yeah.
and it was
And on
tough.
all those weddings that, we had a lot of weddings on that 23rd on Washington. And then it was a nice seating area for all the people to sit, big bar room.
It was a
Oh,
nice home.
yeah. it was
And
a
those
great
weddings were
hall.
fun. Marlene, yours was up there.
Yes. Yes,
Okay,
Yes,
and-
yes.
And then they did all of those shots, and then you did the bride dance, and they break that
You'd have
piece
to
with,
break a dish with a coin.
with a 50-cent piece, or silver dollars. Those
Silver
were
dollars is what they were, and you would, it was
That
the,
was the-
it was the dollar
that
dance.
was
That's
the
how
dollar
it
dance.
started, and the old
Yeah.
tradition of the dollar dance was the glass plate. They used to pay $1, and then they would give them a silver dollar, and used to fire it at that plate and
Yeah.
try to break it. And if they broke it, it represented good luck to the bride and groom. So everybody would try and break that plate, and then you would get a shot of whiskey.
Or a cigar.
Yeah, and then you would dance with the bride or the groom. That
That
was the
was-
old tradition of the dollar
That
dance.
was the dollar dance in those days.
Yeah.
That's right.
That was a good thing to discontinue.
It was, see, nowadays we think don't have them, they take too long. Oh, we couldn't wait to go through those babies because you get the shot of booze. And,
Yeah.
yeah.
In my album, I'm standing here going like this.
I know it. Well, and then Barbara, you rented there.
We rented the same apartment building that you and
Yeah,
Dick lived
and
in.
I remember you were pregnant because the smells, wasn't the
Oh,
smells
it was
bothering
awful, awful.
you? The
Wasn't that
smells
in
of the apartment bothered
And
When
then
I
you
got pregnant.
moved to,
Taylor Street Northeast,
Oh,
into an
okay, then.
88-year-old house.
yeah, I
That had
remember
bats
Taylor.
and mice.
Oh, okay, real well.
But
I
it was
remember
cheap,
that.
we paid $10,500 for that house, living
Yeah.
with all the bats and mice.
That was first of our many homes.
Yes, and we
Mm.
decided after that, no more old homes.
Yeah. Then they moved to Georgia.
We only lived there 3.5 years, and then Carrie and Chris were both born in that house, in
Mhm.
Taylor. And then we bought the house here in Crystal on 29th in Georgia, and then a year later you moved in here. So we've been we moved up to Crystal a long time. We moved
Yeah.
in on Patty's birthday, actually, April 8th of 1968.
68, okay. Mm-hmm.
And then we sold that house 10 years later and built right over here on 35th and Yates and built that house.
Yep.
Lived there for 12 years. Then went to Maple Grove, lived there for 9 years. Went to Champlin, lived there for 9 years. Two houses in Florida in between. We move a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
They say you're supposed to move every 10 years.
Then you don't accumulate everything.
I don't save anything. No.
Well, when you
Not
keep
a
moving, you
saver.
get rid of
Yeah, we
things.
just
Yeah.
talked about that. I'm kind
Yeah.
of a saver, but but.
Well, that's because you haven't moved. If you were to move, you would throw some of that stuff out.
Yeah,
Yes,
Rick
Carrie's
would throw
pot is
some of
getting
those-
smaller and smaller.
Or Rick would throw some of those broomsticks he's got tucked up in the rafters in the basement. We could throw some of those out.
Those dowels you might need someday.
Yeah.
Old shades. I am paranoid to throw anything away because he probably would say, "Where is?"
Well, I don't know where'd you put it. See, whenever I tell Lenny to clean out the garage, he comes in with like a cub bag and says, "Okay, I'm done." Excuse me.
So okay, now I'm thinking we should maybe go to where our kids went to school. When we lived at Sotex on 2nd Street, Patty and Jim went to Schiller School over Northeast. They hopped a bus and they went over Northeast.
Over the bridge.
Over the bridge.
Was it a school bus or a city bus?
It was a school bus.
School bus.
Mhm.
That picked them up because we really were just over the bridge on the north side, and so we were closer than Hawthorne or anything like that. So that's where they were scheduled to go to school. Patty went there for kindergarten and first grade, and Jim then went there for kindergarten.
Now Richie had to be going to school there at that same time, and I just don't remember.
Or did
that
you
at all.
hold him back a year, Marlene?
And Richie was born the end of
No.
September. Maybe it was the cutoff was September 1st, so he maybe
went the
couldn't start the
following year.
following year.
That could have
Because
been.
I don't remember
He
that.
graduated with Chrissy.
Yeah, he did not graduate with Jim.
No, he did, yeah, because Carrie and
No.
Jim are the same age. And they're just,
Yeah.
what, 10 days, 9 days apart?
Well, all three of us were pregnant at
the
the
same
same
time.
time with Richie and Carrie and Jim.
And Jim.
Yeah.
We
We had the same due date
yeah,
with Carrie and Jim, May 3rd.
yeah, and we have one picture of the three of us where we were all pregnant. She was, you would hardly know it. She maybe didn't know it at the time, but we were at your house, Marlene, for something, and
Yeah, I
that
can
picture was
remember that,
taken.
yeah.
And we were all pregnant at that time. And so then when we came here, Patty and Jim went to
Neil.
Neil. Not Neil.
Yeah, it was. That's where my kids went.
No, we started off at
Adair?
by Bev Togel's house. What was that? Crystal Heights.
Oh.
They went to Crystal Heights,
Okay.
and they were there really till about the 4th grade. I would say 4th or 5th grade, and then they changed the boundaries, and now they're going to go to Neil, which upset the kids a little bit because their friends are all here. My only advice to them was, well, now you're going to meet a whole new bunch of friends, and think of the summers. You'll know all of these kids, and you'll know all of these kids. You're going to know that many more people than if you stayed at one school, because that wasn't easy. But they liked both schools. And then they went, from Neil, they went to Sandburg, and then of course, Robbinsdale High School.
And then I think Chrissy was the last graduating class. And they closed the school.
Yeah, and that,
It was
okay,
81, 82?
it must have been 82 because Jim.
82, yeah, because the kids just had their reunion now,
Yeah.
25th
Yeah.
reunion.
Yeah. So your kids went just to Neil and Sandburg and Robbinsdale.
Yep.
Marlene and yours went to Schiller also.
Mm-hmm, they did, yep.
Did they ever go to Catholic school? One of them did.
Both Lynn and Greg did, and that was a big mistake. Never should have done that.
You
But
did
they-
what Mama did.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
And,
it was the
they
thing to
were-
do.
It was very unhappy times for both the kids and I. I think they only went to Holy Cross like 1st and 2nd grade, and then I took them out too. You do what your parents do and do what they tell you, but that was tough. My Greg had a tough time over there. So
The
Lynn
Catholic
also did.
schools were harder.
It was tough.
Dick always said they were a grade ahead.
He could-
Always.
He
They
could
were-
say that, and Lynn too, they could say the mass in Latin, but they couldn't read English. Hello?
Yeah, so that was. And then they all graduated from Edison.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah,
not
so-
Paul. Paul graduated from Spring Lake Park
Spring
High
Lake
School.
Park.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember that.
Because after Richie died, I didn't want to send him. At that time, there were boundaries changed again. Edison kids had to go to North High School, and I didn't want Paul to have to do that. And so I sent him. I gave Lynn's address, and Paul went to Spring Lake Park High School because I just didn't want him. And I already was working at Lynn's. I was working at Edison in the lunchroom, and I said, no, I'm gonna send Paul to Spring Lake Park, and that was a good move. That was okay. It was so a little tough for getting him there and what have you, for driving, and he bicycled a lot until he could drive, so.
Boy, as far as our kids' memories, you probably would have to ask them that better than us.
Yeah.
They'd have to talk like we're talking right now. I would say one big thing in our life was when Marlene and Rick bought the cabin,
Yeah.
because the cabin was a big part of our life.
It was.
We had many
Memories.
memories from that cabin, and we didn't stay there a lot, but we every 4th
The
of July,
holidays.
all holidays were spent there, and
It was fun.
we had a lot of fun memories, and we would dance and sing, and
We even used to go swimming in that slough.
yeah, it was
It
nice
was
back then.
clean for a long time, you know,
Yeah.
until the runoff from the
Yeah.
farmers' yards just made it each year a little worse, a little worse, a little
We
worse.
had
And
that
you-
sandbar right in the middle.
Yeah,
We used to
and
go
that was
play
fun.
with the frisbees
Yes.
out there.
Yes.
And you hate to bring up sad moments, but sad moments were, when Richie graduated, didn't we have his graduation party
Yes,
up there, Marlene?
yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did, because that was a big deal for Marlene and Rick.
And he
to have-
struggled so
He struggled
hard
so
to
hard.
graduate.
because school was very difficult for him.
And then just no more. And then from there, he went right on to White Bear Trucking School. So he went right on to there. He was just about to graduate when he was killed in an accident. So he no more than did that. And then
6
all
weeks
that
later.
schooling.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's a sad, to add to the being that it was a sad thing anyway, all that struggling, and then within a few months.
Yeah, just
The
killed in a
accident
car
happened.
accident. So
Yeah.
it was just,
Yeah.
always thought, what a waste, what a waste.
Yeah, that was a very hard time in our lives for
Yes.
all of us. Our kids were close,
Yes.
Yes.
and they were the same age, and
Yeah.
so it was for our families to deal with that. That was a lot
That
to deal
was-
And
with.
my sisters really pulled me through.
Yeah.
They came for 1 year. I was working for Lynn. They came for 1 year every Wednesday to the shop, and we had coffee and rolls
Yeah.
before the shop
Yeah.
opened.
Yeah,
For
just
1 year.
That's right.
And I know that a lot of times now, some of our friends have had the same situation I'm going through right now with one year. That 1 year is so awful because you keep saying last year at this time, last year at this time,
Yeah.
last year at this time.
comparing.
You know, and that's a bad thing. It's really hard, but they really pulled me through. So that was
Well,
good.
That was a tough time.
Yeah, it was. So
I have to bring up one thing that maybe is important in my life, as when we were married, and it happened when I was out of high school. But bowling was a big part of my life, and everybody knows that. And that's really where I met Dick and met a lot of my friends right now.
they wouldn't let me bowl.
It
I
was too
didn't.
expensive for you.
No, I didn't bowl good enough.
Yeah,
And
she
as soon
didn't.
as they had an opening, they got somebody to
Yeah.
fill
yeah,
it.
it was really
All right.
about
Keep
that
tipping.
then.
Yep.
Okay, one thing that was, I think back now, I did bowl 2 leagues because I started bowling on Sunday night up at New Hope with Dad. Mother and Dad started bowling up there, and I don't know who they bowled with and how it ever got started. But as time went on, Mom didn't bowl, and I ended up bowling with Dad. And over the years, Uncle Mike bowled a lot. Alec Novak I bowled with, and Dick and Gloria Hennis. I think we bowled for about 10 years. We had wonderful bowling banquets because somebody that belonged in our league ran the KC Hall, so we always had this 3-piece band, and we had wonderful dances and drinking, and everybody in that league was a lot of fun. And I loved bowling with my dad. He was always, he could strike and come back happy. He'd miss a spare and come back happy. He was always just a fun person to bowl with. And I had some of my best bowling times with my dad. I had my first 700 when I bowled with Dad, and that couldn't have made me happier. And that was very special, so that was one of my memories about bowling. We've had many, of course, because we've bowled in state tournaments, we bowled in city tournaments, and we
Nationals.
and bowled in nationals, and we probably went to about 12 to 15
Yeah, I think
national
I counted my
tournaments.
pins that I have. I think there was at least 12 of them.
Okay, tournaments, and we didn't go every year. We picked the funnest places. We'd go to Las Vegas, we'd go to Reno, we'd go to
Niagara Falls.
Niagara Falls. Oh, that was beautiful. And then we went Fort Lauderdale and
Tampa. We did
Tampa.
Florida a couple times.
Yeah, we did Florida.
LA.
Yeah, we had a lot of, and those plans they were all planned by a agency, by a travel agency. Fink did it through a travel agency. So all we had to do is every year put our money down, and then a little bit more money, and then a little bit more money, and then we went. And they took care of us from the time
And
we
Ronnie
got.
was always in charge of it. Do you need some money, Ronnie? Okay, write me a check. Okay.
Yeah, we did, and then
Right.
we'd go, and what we liked about it was the plane was always full of bowlers.
Mhm.
And the bowlers were all fun and happy people.
Yeah.
And so that made it even more special because, and all of our trips, side trips were planned by her, and we just had a.
We used to get the bowling over with right away, chop, chop,
Yeah.
get it done so that we could play the rest of the time we were there.
And we would always play cards in the airport, and
Oh, yes.
we did. We always had.
On buses.
Yeah, we did. We had a lot of really good times. So we have a lot of. To this day, I've got a lot of bowling. Through what's going on now in my life, I've gotten many cards from many of the bowling people, and that makes it even more special.
She knew more people. We know, I don't care where we went, where we traveled, someone would pass her on the street, Ronnie! Everybody always knew Ronnie, and they never knew us.
And we
wrong.
had shirts made,
Yeah.
and it said, "We're Ronnie's sisters."
Yeah. And then one year for Christmas, I made them for everybody.
Yes.
They said, I am Ronnie's niece, I am Ronnie's niece's
Yes,
husband,
she
I am
did.
Ronnie's niece's daughter. Everybody got shirts,
always,
because
when they-
nobody knew our
No,
name.
when they come up to
we
you
were
and say,
Ronnie's sister.
"Aren't you Ronnie's sister?"
Nobody knew our
Barbara takes
name.
a joke and she carries it very far. She never just lets it be little. It had to be far. So, so when I went to apply for a job at Byerly's, they said, "Aren't you Barb's sister?"
Whoa!
And I says, "Yes, I am."
And that's what really started the whole thing. Was for your birthday, I gave you a shirt that said, "I am Barb's sister."
Yeah. She's the one that, although she isn't the one that got me the job at Byerly's, it was Susie
Susie.
that got me the. It's another error. I don't
Oh
know.
yeah, you worked at
We should
Byerly's.
talk a little
Both
bit
of
about
you
that
for
either.
a long
Yeah, both of
time.
you.
You worked at
I
Byerly's.
worked at Byerly's 29 years.
No.
You worked
I worked 24 and a half years. When the kids were in grade school, I worked for, I think, 7 years. Well, first when we first moved out here, I started a job when we were still down on 2nd Street. I worked for Chicago Dental Lab. It was on Hennepin and Levin. And they did false teeth.
dentures.
Yeah, they did dentures, and I would just go there on Saturday morning. I worked from 8 to noon, I think. I'd hop a bus. I wanted to get out of the house a little bit because I was always with the kids. And even Dick, I mean, he worked a little bit at the bowling alley some nights. He'd bowl, and if there was ever a sporting event, believe me, he was always gone. So he really didn't spend that much time with the kids.
And
Maybe
maybe
they'll
early in the evening.
Maybe
not
they'll
late.
tell you that in their stories. But anyway, I took a job, I applied for it and I got it. And I did that for quite a few years. I did it for a couple of years on 2nd Street. And when we moved out here, I did it for a couple more years. I'd go there on Saturdays. I took the car then. Boy, I got to take the car down because I couldn't have a bus so easy from here. So I took the car down there and I worked on that job for, probably was there about 4 or 5 years. And then I got a job at the Country Kitchen, waitressing, and I worked there for I think about 7 years. I did that along.
Yeah,
Most
yes,
of my
you
jobs
did.
lasted about 6, 7 years. And then and while I was there, Susie says, "Why don't you come and work in the bakery? We need a person," which I'm so glad she did because now I became a part of a union.
Yes.
And because I was in a union, it made it kind of nice for where we sit now.
And the same way
Because of
with
the
you.
pension.
Yeah.
And I was with my daughter for 26 years, and there's no pension, there's nothing. There's
Still
nothing,
working.
nothing.
But
And I-
Marlene, first you worked at the
At the AMW and
No,
at the school.
yeah, you worked at
Edison,
the
I worked at
AMW.
school
and then you worked in the school lunchroom for quite a few years.
For a few years, yeah.
Yeah, you did that.
Nothing ended up with a pension, including my husband didn't end up with a pension.
No.
So
But when I
it's
started
different.
Byerly's, I didn't even know how to spell pension. I didn't even know what it meant.
No.
It just came along with the territory. I was just going to work for the summer.
And
At
you
that
And it
know,
ended
yeah.
up to be nearly 30 summers. You know,
Yeah.
so
At
it
that
just,
time,
I fell
it-
And
into
for you,
wasn't
Barbara,
important.
that was unreal.
Yeah, to keep a job that long.
Yes.
But it had
Yeah.
good benefits, a lot
So
of
Barb
vacation
and I
time.
worked in the same store on Duluth Street for quite a few years. And then she moved down to management, of course. And so then I went to different stores. And I remained at Golden Valley which was nice because I just had to drive down to Highway 100, and my car automatically took me right to Duluth Street. And it was 5 minutes away, so that was really nice.
Yeah.
I know, but Ronnie, you work some really bad night hours. I always felt like you had to leave so early in the morning.
Yeah, I
I'm
did
worried
work,
about
but
you.
I liked them. I didn't mind the hours. I was an early morning person. It didn't bother me in any way. But that's what I ended
That's
up
what we
doing.
did.
I didn't start that way. I started at nighttime. Nighttime I was doing. I didn't like that. I liked morning better, but
What were your hours in the morning?
well, actually, like here they were like 4 to 8 or
She had to get up and brush all that
49.
snow off of her car and
yeah.
blaze a trail.
Winters were kind of tough at times. I'll have to say that, but hey, you did what you had to
We
do.
did what
Yeah.
we had to do.
Yeah,
That's
no,
right.
and I liked working in the bakery. It was a hard job, but it was a fun job. And
It was a big part of our life.
yeah.
We met a
We
lot
had
of
to have
friends there.
Dick didn't make a lot of money, and it was extra. Now you become accustomed to that extra money,
Yeah.
so you can't really
True.
quit after a while.
That's
now
right.
you're sucked in.
Yes, and the 5-6 weeks vacation became very nice.
Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
what we did, and unfortunately, Marlene always had to listen to our stories. We'd go to Mom and Dad's to play cards on Sunday, and then she'd have to sit there and listen to all our Byerly stories and bore the death out of her. We did that because Mom and Dad moved out of 2nd Street on I don't know when.
1975.
Okay, 1975, and they moved to Orchard, and
We spent a lot of Sunday afternoons playing
Yeah.
cards.
Playing cards every
Do you remember
Sunday
the
afternoon.
address?
A lot. What's Orchard?
Of Orchard,
30
3516. No, 30.
3659.
That's it.
3659 Orchard
Orchard.
Street, north.
No,
And it was a cute house.
at Robbinsdale.
On 2nd Street, we had a white picket fence that was perfect.
Dad made it.
It was perfect. We had it was manicured, just perfect. And then now he gets here and he has a nice wire fence around the whole thing, and that was, he loved his yard. He loved keeping it up, and it was nice. We were all close, so we'd go there on Sundays and probably have dinner like we did on Sundays.
And it was smaller for Dad to take care of too
Yeah,
than that big yard
Yeah,
was.
so that's where we spent our Sundays, and
Yeah. Playing cards mostly though,
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
we didn't
playing
go
cards.
there to eat really.
Barb-
I didn't.
Yeah.
Watch the football game.
Barb and I,
Yeah.
speaking of cards, Barb and I joined a card club. Barb joined way before I did. How many years you been playing,
I
Barb?
think, no, Richie's been gone 24.
Yeah,
It was 24 years. It was right when Richie was killed.
Okay, 24 years.
I was
Barb-
subbing in it before, but I became a member right when he died
Yeah.
that summer. So 24 years I've been
There's
in that card
there's
club.
8 girls in the card club, and we play every other Monday night, and take turns. And we and Barbara, I joined probably about 10 years ago, maybe now.
Probably.
About that, and
I love to play cards.
yeah, we just like to
Yeah.
play cards.
On the senior circuit on Saturdays.
Now we play on Saturdays with the seniors. So
But
we
that was all thanks to Mom and Dad. They love to play cards.
Yeah,
They
they
taught
always
us
love to play cards. Mhm.
Because it was a cheap entertainment.
Yes, it was.
Inexpensive.
We used to watch my aunt and uncle cheat all the time. Uncle
Auntie.
Al, when he played poker, used to put a nickel in for Auntie and take a dime out.
And Auntie
And Auntie Annie would get the deal, and when they cut it, she'd look at the bottom card. If it was good, it went in her hand, not her hand.
I loved it.
Yeah.
They weren't good at it either.
I'm trying to think of Dick's and mine memories, really. We didn't travel a lot. If he went on a bowling trip, that was a fun place. Like Reno or Las Vegas, then I went. Then I would go on his bowling
The
trips.
fun places.
Otherwise, I didn't go on his bowling trips. Just the fellows went, and usually a couple girls went on the bowling trips with him. And other than that, we really didn't go on many trips. We went on one trip to Florida with the kids. He won $1,000 bowling in Chicago, and that was in '77, I think. And so we drove to Florida with the kids, and that had to be a 2-week trip if I remember right, I'm not sure. And that's the only trip the kids will probably remember that we took, because we didn't do a lot of traveling.
No,
No, you didn't? Well, Marlene, you know, took trips with Ricky through Roberts
Yeah.
Hamilton.
but not with the kids.
Not with the kids, but Rick we were chaperones for the group, so we went to Spain. We went, where else we went? London. We went to quite a few places. And so,
Yeah.
and we would be gone a week, but the kids were bigger. Lynn took care of the boys, and because I still had 2 boys at home, but Lynn took care of the boys, so it worked out okay. But they were
Yeah.
beautiful trips, and
Yeah.
we got to go free, so that was nice.
Sure, see, it is, just like Mom.
Free. It's not free.
Yeah.
Hey, Ricky still saves tin cans.
Oh,
That's
that's
it's his hobby.
that's his hobby. That's
Yeah.
still his hobby.
Yeah,
So
but
that's
I
Barb,
don't
what
know.
about family trips for you guys?
Not too much either. We went once with Godfrey's, who have been our lifelong friends, the kids and Wayne and Dolly and Len and I. The kids grew up together, knowing each other. We're still very good friends. And we went together, their family and our family, and we went to Black Hills. That was an experience. It was fun. And then in '76, right after we built the house, we went down to Texas. We took the kids to Texas, and Judy and Franz, we stayed
Yeah.
with them.
Yeah.
In July, no air conditioning, and it was hell. Have not been back since. So, no, we didn't have good memories.
Yeah.
Got to go to the Astrodome, which no longer exists. But that was a big thing back then, was to go to a dome stadium and watch the
Mhm.
Houston Astros play. But no, we didn't. No, we didn't. They do now. Now that we have a place in Florida, the kids come down there to see us in the winter. But no, we really didn't travel. It didn't have the money for it, actually.
No, we really didn't. And it wasn't a big part of our life. I guess
No.
we went with Jim and Chris, we went to Europe. And at least Dick always wanted to go to Europe. And I wasn't that crazy about going to Europe. Well, when we finally went, well, it was a horrible time. Barb and Lenny were
We
going to
backed
go.
out the morning of.
I mean, what could be worse? What were the chances of it being
A
a war? I mean, after all these years
Four.
of wanting to go there,
It was Desert Storm. Which
What
one
was
are we
the
in
first
now?
Gulf War? Well, I don't know.
Which one was the first one? It was back in '91, somewhere around.
yeah.
Yeah.
The first
Jimmy,
Bush. The
that's
first
where-
Bush president.
Yeah.
We ended up going, but it was scarier than scary. It was scary the whole time we were there,
Mhm.
you know. And she ended up not going, and Dick says, "Oh, you'd feel better if Barb was here." I said, "No, I wish Patty were here. At least my whole family would be here." Because I didn't know if I was ever going to get back home. Give you that
Yeah.
feeling. So it was kind of scary, but it ended up being a fun trip. Jim and Chris got
engaged.
Yeah, that was cool. So that was it was a fun trip, but so now whenever Dick wants to go to Europe, I says, we went there once, I did it once. And we at least went one time. You can't say we haven't. But
Jim,
Jim,
I don't even know if it's really there. I'm just taking your word for it.
I'm not a traveler, so I mean I
No.
don't miss
well,
traveling.
we liked it more when we were younger. As you get older, you don't care as much whether you hope you've done it all. You hope you've done what you wanted to do. Is about the way you feel about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I know, okay, now it's just a little bit about grandparents, Chris. I do remember when you told us you were going to have triplets, so we were at your house, all of us, including your parents and grandparents. I think it was Mother's Day, or Father's Day.
I think it was Father's Day.
It was
It's one of
Father's
those
Day.
days.
It was Father's Day. For some reason, I was suspicious. And it didn't take me by surprise, but what took us by surprise.
Why were you suspicious?
I don't know, but I just had that feeling.
I remember you telling me that my gardens, which usually are
Oh yes, that's right,
that
Chris.
usually look okay.
And they weren't, and they were a mess. They were. That's right, Chris. I remember that. Yeah, and I thought it just didn't. Something wasn't sitting right. It just wasn't going to surprise me that we were going to hear that. I think when Jim says we've got something to say, and I says, something like that came out of my mouth. But what we didn't expect was that there
They
were going
came
to
up
be
to the
three.
lake. They came up to the lake. And Chris said, and that's when we found out it was going to be triplets.
Yeah, that's
Came up
probably
to
when
our
you guys found
Oh.
out.
You told me
yes.
at work.
I
Yeah.
already knew because we came home and I went to tell my mom, because was my dad alive?
I was at Byerly's in Golden Valley.
I don't
No.
think Dad was
Dad's
alive.
gone about 9 years
Yeah,
already.
I don't think, no, that's right, no, Dad wasn't alive. I went to tell Mom, but she fell that day. That's the day our mom fell and hit her head. She was gonna put the blanket over the window.
Yeah.
And that all was the same day. That was on the
Oh,
day.
see.
Yeah.
Okay.
I went to tell her about the babies, and she called me, "You gonna come over here?" Well, one thing led to another. But so I do remember that, and I remember Patty and Dave coming over here and telling us that we were going to be grandparents again, and I couldn't quite register it because
You thought we were having more?
I know it. What would go through your mind, you know, what would go through your mind. So, and we were right in the living room, so I do remember hearing that. I'm trying to think where I was when the kids were born, though. I remember leaving their house because it was Christmas, but I do believe it was, we were just here in the living room, in here. And I remember Dick writing down the weight, and he wrote it down on a newspaper, you know, the names and the weight and everything. So that we were just at home here when the kids were born. And when Alex was born, Dave called here and says, and we were just here also, and the baby was born. I was going to church that day. I was supposed to work a funeral. And I thought, oh, what, you know what? They're expecting me. How am I going to do all this? Well, I called the church and says, I'll be there, but I'm going to be late because I had to go up to the hospital and see the baby. So that was my experience. I do remember them being born. And
I don't remember. I just don't remember
Being-
No, I don't remember the
Being
grandchild. No, I don't remember even the kids being born. Gregory has.
So, and how old are your grandchildren now? That's part of the problem.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
you know.
Just
Yeah,
the age difference.
Rachel must
Yeah.
be 25, 24. Steffi's a little older. Steffi's 25. But Rachel's 24 and Sean is 23, and Ashley is
I have to write it
16. And so, but
boy, they are getting up there,
I
Mom.
know.
And a great granddaughter.
And a great granddaughter who's going to, she's 2.5. As a matter of fact, I just seen her yesterday, and I didn't know I was going to see her for Halloween or not. And one of the characters, I think in Dora or one of those, is Zoe, Z-O-E, and she's on the TV. And I found the music box, little jewelry box, and Zoe is written on there with this little dancing Zoe in it. Oh, Paula said she was just thrilled, so I did just see her. But and then Lynn's kids, I don't remember. I only remember how Lynn had them too easy.
Yeah.
I mean, she just went and hour and a half, and it was done. And she didn't have epidurals or any of that.
No,
she just
No,
had her
that
babies
wasn't around
easy.
either.
You know, so, but I don't remember. I just don't remember.
Yeah.
So, and then Paul, of course, has now, and Jenna is going to be 2 in February.
Yeah.
So I've still got him spaced out from 25 years
She
old
never learned from when she
to
got
2
married.
years old.
Yeah.
So, and Jenna will be coming over tomorrow. She'll be dressed as a bumblebee. So I said, okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't get to see her as often. You know,
Barb,
so it's
and you've
special.
got,
Yeah.
you know, except Chris
Seven
had
of them.
one after another.
Yeah, and when if she wasn't having them, Carrie was having them, and it's just like, all of a sudden in 5-6 years, I had a lot of grandkids.
Yes, you did,
All
Barb.
at some at the same time, and some very close.
All girls, just one boy.
One boy, 6 granddaughters, 1 grandson. And I do remember when Carrie called, I was managing at Richdale at the time, and she called and said, "It's over." I said, "What is it?" And she said, "A boy." And that was her second one. But I remember Kevin. Maybe it's because no
It was a boy.
brothers, no
Mhm.
sons, and all of a sudden it's a grandson. whereas the girls kind of were all lumped together. But I do remember when Kevin was born. But I remember when they were all born, but I don't remember actually the phone call coming in. But I do remember Kevin's. But I don't
And
remember.
Taylor?
And Taylor, Connie called. I think Connie called. Isn't that terrible? I don't remember.
I remember coming home from the hospital because we were
I
at
had
Carver.
cards. Yes.
And she and
Her and Scott
Scott
and
came
Taylor
over.
stopped at the house
Yeah.
in Maple Grove with the
Oh,
baby.
sweet.
that was
I,
cool.
I remember going up there that night
Mhm.
and I looked in the room and Connie was sound asleep and Scott was sound asleep and Taylor was sound asleep on Scott's chest. And I thought, oh, somebody better do something about this. This baby could roll off his tummy.
Yeah.
And then I thought, oh, I better wake him up, but not until I'm right next to that baby.
In case you're gonna catch the baby.
Yes, that's
I know.
right. And Chris had Natalie. She wasn't in her first house yet. She lived in a townhouse on Twin Lake.
Okay.
I think she had Natalie there. I don't remember if she had Amanda there or not. I can't remember. And then they moved out to St. Michael.
And Natalie is
21. Yeah, and Amanda's 20. Katie's 20. And then we've got them right on down the line.
Yeah.
18, 19, 18. Kevin's going to be 17 next month. Taylor's 10.
And when Jim
Jesse is also same as Kevin.
Okay. And when Jim and Chris had their triplets, we all had someone help out and take a turn.
Yeah.
She had, they had help, but they needed a lot of help with the 3 babies.
Mm.
But that first year flew by.
Mm-hmm.
I know it. Thank
For
God.
you? Not for you.
Yeah.
Put your
That,
face in
remember a lot
front of
of
this
that.
camera and say,
Yeah, just kind of block some of
For a
that
while.
out, Chris.
I know it. I know it.
Yep, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, but they're all big now.
Yes.
College.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yep,
Gosh, that went
Steffi's, yeah,
fast.
Steffi has got a good job at General Mills. Brian's got a super job. He's graduated from college. Sean is working for my son, for his dad, Greg, but he's working at Greg's vice president of Contact Cartage, and Sean's working for him. And Rachel has an excellent job. So the kids are all doing really well.
What do the kids have paper routes yet, Chris? Then they'd be working.
Oh, I think
I was
we're
just like my
as-
mom.
Yeah.
I mean, Jim had to be a paper boy.
Yep.
So did mine.
They had a
did
babysit. They had a babysit. Patty had to be at the country kitchen before she was of age.
Yeah, Carrie did too.
I had when I
Oh,
worked
Carrie
on the
wanted
truck
to.
farm, I had to lie about my age. I had to say I was 12 when I was only 11. Supposed to be 12. And I know Patty wasn't 16, and she had to be maybe 15.
You had to be 15 to work at the Embers, because that's what
Okay.
Carrie was. And Carrie wanted to work so bad, and she
Yeah.
was only 14.
That's maybe
And so
Patty
she told him
was,
she was 15.
yeah, that's maybe what Patty did at the country kitchen, and so she had to have a job. Jim had to be a paper boy.
When they were all paper boys, Patty and Jim and Carrie and Chris.
Yeah, and then we even
they had
had
the shack.
we even had the papers dropped off in our garage. Did you remember Jim ever telling that story? Okay, well I would get up. I mean, Jim, you gotta get up. Jim, you gotta get up. You know what? That was my own doing. I'll have to admit. And I put the pressure on myself because Jim really did not want to do that. It was hard to get up in the early morning like that and put those papers together and sit out there while those boys came. And Lord only knows what they did to our garage while they were in there. I mean, you know, they didn't all behave properly.
Oh, I was
I mean-
shack manager for a
Yeah,
while.
and, I mean, I don't think it was that bad, but it still wasn't. I think, and what did my neighbors think? His kids always pulling up about 4:30 in the morning and getting their papers. Were they quiet? Were they noisy? I don't know. And whether Jim was the best paper manager, I doubt it. I don't know. He was a young kid. It was tough.
And they had to go around collecting the
Collect
money.
the money, and then that old lady yelled at Chris, and she came home crying. She said,
It was horrible.
She didn't give me my money.
No.
I still got her ticket because she took me by the hand, and she walked me up her sidewalk and said, "See this step? This is where my paper goes." And she says, "Until you do it right, I'm not paying you." Oh, she was nasty. And I thought, okay, you're not doing that anymore. Now
Yeah.
we'll just have the paper
was
shack and
tough.
you have to go. It was.
But
It
it was a
tough.
good thing
Well,
for the
and Jim,
kids to learn.
Jim shared a paper route with Jim Pellock down the street. And he took part of the route and he took part of the route, and then they collected part of the route and they had a pool of money. Well, that one year, Jim and Pella and his family were going to Disneyland, and Jim came home with a pittance of money.
Oh.
And I'm sure Jim just didn't share. I'm sure he didn't share. And we went down there and talked to Mrs. Pella. Well, how can you be sure your son is telling the truth? Which was something I should have considered, of course. But being the trusting mother, I said, no, I don't think that was
My
the
kids
case.
walk on water.
Because he was heartbroken. I don't think he would have kept the money and come home heartbroken.
Right.
For all the work he did and got this little tiny bit of tips. It was tips at the time. It didn't last much longer after that. Or you know what I did? I says, Jim, you be in charge of the money. I thought that was a good lesson for Jim. I said, tell you what, why doesn't Jim be in charge of the money? So then Jim was in charge of the money. And for how long, I don't remember. But I thought, well, that was good for Jim learning. So, like I say, that's part of his memories that he'd have to tell on tape. But
Life's experiences.
yeah, those are the experiences that they learned. But those were.
And I think that's where we're kind of up to now is.
And Jim probably is still a thrifty person, knowing that we were always thrifty. Patty is, and I think the kids, they had more money.
My kids aren't, neither am I.
They had more money.
Oh, my Lynn.
They had more money saved than other kids had money saved, because I was like my mother.
I'm probably making 50 cents an hour yet.
And how many weeks paid vacation?
None.
You should unionize.
I know.
We'll come pick it for you.
I care all the time. I want to know what my pension's going to be.
You should just pay your insurance for something simple. I know, but I don't know. Anything else we haven't covered? Chris,
No.
can you think of anything that you think we should cover? Maybe we should stop it for just a minute and gather up our thoughts. And our favorite saying about our husbands is whenever we would talk about, we'd say, you know, there's something wrong with the faucet, or, you know, the car is not working just right. We'd say, and they always would say, what do you mean it doesn't work? What do you mean? You know, they never would understand what we said the first time. We said the water's faucet's dripping. What do you mean the water faucet's dripping? The car is making a funny noise. What do you mean the car is making a funny noise?
We never all go check it.
No, it's always, what do you mean? I've already said it. I mean, it's making a noise. You'll have to go check it.
You know, when you turn the key on, it doesn't start.
What do you mean it doesn't start? And it's true. It's maybe true with all men.
Oh, yes.
I know it's true
Gail
with our
used to say it
husbands.
all the time with
Yeah.
Everett.
It's true with our husbands. What do you mean it doesn't work? I know it. So,
But in the senior years, I'm very, very happy. I think it's, you know.
we could tell one Polish
Rick and
little
I.
story about Barb and I through the years, talking about doing a vacuum cleaner. Barb and I had the same vacuum.
Which was off tape.
But, you know, we had the same vacuum cleaners, and we weren't working in these days. And she says, Ronnie, will you go get your vacuum cleaner? I've got mine apart, and I cannot get it back
On the
together.
telephone, they're
We're
calling
on
you.
the telephone trying to repair a vacuum cleaner. I had this heavy sweater on, and I always stupid brown sweater. And I was getting so hot, and she says, Ronnie, tip it upside down and let me know. And so now I've got my part, and I'm trying to get mine back together. And we're trying to repair a vacuum cleaner over the telephone. And she said, I think she ended up saying, I'm going to just hit it with a hammer. She could not get the roller back into
couldn't get it back on. Now he ended up with 2 broken vacuum cleaners on the telephone.
I mean, that's a story that we just always remember.
Oh no, the other story with you, Ronnie, is when your clothes got stuck in the chute and you threw a bottle of syrup or honey down the chute, and of course it broke when it got down to the bottom.
I had some clothes stuck in the chute, and I I knew, I was sure it was stuck in the chute, so I thought, what can I throw down there to unstick?
Most people would take a can of soup.
And I went to the cupboard, and why I didn't grab a can of soup, that's even heavier, I grabbed a bottle of syrup. Yeah, I whaled that thing down the chute, and it wasn't stuck.
Hit the basement floor.
Hit the floor, I had syrup all over everywhere. Now, only a Polak would do that.
That was funny. We told
That was
that
a
story a
Polish
lot.
joke.
That was a Polish joke, and I thought, why did I grab syrup? I don't know. Had a handle maybe.
Oh, Barbara's favorite one was, are you out of tape, Chris?
No.
Your favorite was when you bought your golf bag.
Oh, that was in my professional golfing days. Taking golf lessons with Lenny, we stopped at a garage sale on the way to the golf course. And I borrowed Dick's clubs,
Yeah.
but I didn't have a case. So we stopped at this golf garage sale, and there was a golf bag for $4. And it was just a little low one. And I thought, perfect. So I put Dick's golf clubs in there, and we go golfing. And Lenny tees off first, and he's up on the first tee. Now I'm teeing off, and I'm walking behind my ball now. I thought, oh, this is getting lighter. And I looked, I didn't have any clubs left in my bag. Didn't know if there was a hole in the bottom. And I looked behind me, and there were all my golf clubs, one at a time, all the way up to me. And now the guys are waiting to tee off me.
This is the first hole.
First hole. And they're all laughing, and I didn't know what to do, so I yelled to Lenny, Lynn, you have to wait for me. My golf clubs are all on the golf course here. He says, I don't know you. And I walked back, collected him under my arm, and I carried him the rest of the time we golfed this 9-hole golf course.
Probably the last time you ever golfed.
And I threw away the golf bag. I've never golfed again since. But I did hit par once on that hole, and I thought that was pretty good. But no, I never golfed again after that. Never. No, don't like it. Didn't. I did shuffleboard last year in Florida too. Didn't like that either. No. But the golf clubs, that was very embarrassing. And then I wanted him to come and help me, but no.
I don't know you.
I don't know you.
And Lenny doesn't even say too
And you know,
much.
and when you're right on the first tee, the golf clubhouse is right there with this big bay window with everybody lined up watching me pointing to my golf clubs laying on the grass. Oh well, I'm old. I never seen him again, so it was no big deal.
That's okay. That's okay.
Well, I think we covered our life stories, don't you?
Probably.
Yeah. Do you think we did a good job, Chris?
I think you did an awesome job.
Yeah. Our kids can say the same thing.
Your favorite saying is what?
Barb and I, a little bit more than Marlene and I, but we would say this as we would be. I love to be on the telephone, first of all, and everybody knows that. It's part of my,
It's attached.
yeah, it's attached to me.
I hate it.
But
hate it.
I know it, and we would end up our conversation, and we would very often say, "Life's good,"
Yes.
Mhm.
and I hope our kids can say the same thing.
Yes. Ronnie's hit a
Life's
big
good.
bump in the
I
road
hit a
right
bump in the
now.
road, but I can tell you this: life has been
Been good.
Yeah.
Mhm. We have mountains of memories right from
Yeah.
childhood all the way to current.
And I had
Yeah,
a big
to the
bump in
casino
my
on
life,
Monday.
and-
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
right.
we have a lot of,
Yeah.
We're still making them.
Yes.
we always, that was another thing, we
Oh,
always
Ronnie's
said,
favorite saying.
we made a
We
memory.
made a
We
memory.
made a memory.
That's a good place to
That's a
end.
good way to end it, because we would always say,
That was Barb.
we
Ronnie.
made a memory. It was some little funny thing that happened,
And we just
and we would never forget it, and we say, we just made a memory. Today, we
Yeah.
It was like
Made
a
a
Kodak
memory.
moment.
now, right now, we just made a memory.
Mhm.
That's it.
super.
They love to talk the olden days.
See, and of course, I, being the oldest, would remember earlier days
Yeah.
with Grandma Pepek and or Showback.
Boy, you get started with Mom and Dad
Yeah.
on a Sunday afternoon.
Oh,
Oh, they used to love it.
Yeah, they would love to talk old times.
Yes, they did.
And thank God they did, because that's
That's
where
how-
we
And
found
Dad
out
had us
everything.
3 girls, but I'll bet you I could bait a book better than some boys. I mean,
Yeah.
Dad wanted us to know how to fish. He took us fishing all the time.
Not having boys didn't mean anything
No,
to Dad.
ice fishing as well we went, you know.
Oh, we should have told that story about ice fishing. I almost wasn't here. 5 years old, I fell in fish
fish hole?
hole. Went down. Yes.
Uncle Joey had
Oh, I
made it too
remember
big.
that.
Too big of a
He
hole.
used to make these huge holes,
Yeah, he
and he
loved
had
to
just
ice
drilled it,
fish.
and the water was all around the ice, so it was slippery. And I went with my mom and dad, because, well, what else are they going to do with a 5-year-old? You know, they got to bring me along. So I remember when it was the old blue Chrysler, and I was walking out there, and all of a sudden I slipped on that water and went right into that hole, and I don't remember who it was that grabbed me, though. But as I was going down, somebody grabbed my jacket and my arm and pulled me back out of the hole. Otherwise, I'd have went down. They never would have seen me till spring.
Scary stuff.
Oh, and I remember Mother yelling at Uncle Joey. Oh, she yelled at him.
Well, it was scary. She was scared.
She was
sure
scared.
she was. Because I remember him throwing
It
him in
was
the
out of
back seat
fright.
of the car in a blanket, and we went home right away.
Yeah,
That was
I
all
don't
wet.
remember. I don't remember that. I maybe
No.
wasn't there.
No, you weren't there. I
No,
went
no.
with Mom and Dad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
no, I don't remember that.
And see, when we were, Rick went ice fishing a lot with Dad and Mitchie and George, with Tom Relf, with them.
yeah,
we
he
used to
did.
ice
Yeah,
fishing
yeah.
and fishing a lot.
Yeah.
So
Oh, we used to go to Crow River too. We used to. A lot of times, mostly on Sundays.
it was nice. Rick kind of was really close to Dad.
Yeah, he did the things Dad liked to do.
Mhm,
Yeah,
mhm,
yeah, he
mhm.
did.
Except drink. So
Yeah.
Well, Dad didn't because Mom did.
yeah, Dad had to
And-
take care of Mom.
Yeah, he always pretty much had us
He did.
straight between
Yes.
the lines because he had to take care of her. But I remember one Christmas party when Daddy came home, and it was, remember the telephone table right in the corner
Mhm.
there, and Dad was sitting on that, and they was talking like this, and I thought, oh, I've never seen you drunk before.
Yeah. I think Dad
Oh,
was
he
Well,
was
he must
so
have had his moments
tongue-tied.
where he
Oh,
liked
yes.
to. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Maybe because he
With
was
his
home.
beautiful curly hair and sweating
Yeah.
and playing his mouth organ, absolutely.
Yeah.
The only bad thing he did was he picked his toenails.
He did. Drove me nuts.
Drove us nuts.
Yeah, he
So we're
did.
still yibbering.
I know, he did, because he would sit on that telephone stand. He would do that a lot.
Sit
He
on
would
the
sit
sofa
there
and
and
watch
he
TV.
would, and he did, he'd pick, it was a bad habit, but we loved our dad so dearly that we didn't dare say it. Dad, I wish you didn't do that, because it makes your skin crawl.
Yeah, you could just hear it click, click. I
Yeah,
can picture
yeah.
him. And he smoked. My dad smoked a lot.
Yeah,
He used to have that big ashtray right next to
yeah,
the sofa.
yeah, he did. Well, that telephone stand, he probably made that too.
Yes, he
Oh,
did.
yeah, I'm sure he
Yeah.
did.
Because it
Yes,
did
he
say
did.
something about the telephone stand, and it was right there in the corner, and
Yes, he did.
And we had a bathroom, the bedroom, and then the living, and then there was a little hallway right there. And
His
that,
mama's-
all the doors closed, the
So
dining
that's
room,
when I talked to
the
Rick in
bathroom.
there and I shut the doors.
and that's where we went when it was lightning and
That's where
thundering.
Mother went. Mother used to stand in that hallway
Yeah,
so she could
Mother
close all the doors and she couldn't see
Yeah,
the
it was
lightning. She was
pitch black.
deathly afraid of lightning.
Very
Yeah,
Oh,
so that, yeah,
very
that was,
frightening.
that
She
was-
made us scared.
Never scared me. It used to bug me. Because she used to say, come on down out
Yeah.
of that bedroom up there and you
She-
sleep on the living room floor. I
What?
thought, I'm sound asleep.
But I didn't blame her for that, because
Yeah.
being
She was
upstairs,
scared.
lightning could have struck that, and we would have been trapped up there, you know?
I think we could have got out on the front.
I used to
the
climb
front-
out the window all the time and
The
sit on the
front
roof.
window, but I think not the backyard. The backyard.
would've.
Backyard is where I
would've.
sat on that roof.
Yeah. we
There
would've-
was a peak above the
Yes,
other one.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
you would slide down. That one wasn't as safe, but if you
Yeah.
worked it right, you could jump to the tree.
Mm-hmm.
That was in the front.
Yeah, you could.
But the one out
So
in
it
the back
wasn't like it was
flat.
totally unsafe. It was safe.
Oh,
We
sure.
could have jumped off
Marlene,
the
you
roof.
used to put up pin-up pictures of all the movie stars.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Should have those posters now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From
they were-
all
they-
the
eight
all
by
the
10s.
magazines. Yeah.
Yeah.
All the movies.